I was humiliated at my brother's wedding by my stepmother and father, but I secretly owned the catering company and took ruthless revenge. I stand frozen at the back of the wedding reception hall, my wine glass trembling between my fingers. 250 elegantly dressed guests fall silent around me, their conversations evaporating like morning dew as Kendra's cutting voice slices through the room. "Well, look who decided to grace us with her presence," she announces, gesturing toward me with her champagne flute. My stepdaughter finally left her little taco truck business to join real society. The crystal chandelier light catches on my simple navy dress, the one I spent 3 paychecks on, hoping to fit in just this once. A mistake, clearly. The light fractures through my wine, casting blood-red shadows across my hand. I search for Tyler across the sea of shocked faces. My brother stands near the head table, his new bride clutching his arm. Something in my expression must register because the hope I'd been nurturing all day crumbles as I watch him glance at our father instead of coming to my defense. "Maybe she's finally ready to stop playing restaurant to get a real career," my father adds, his words slurring slightly. He laughs too loudly, the same booming sound that once meant safety before it became the soundtrack to my erasure. Across the room, Abigail, Tyler's new wife, catches my eye. Her lips form the words "I'm sorry," while her hand tightens around Tyler's arm. Too little, too late. Behind her, the catering staff moves with quiet efficiency, setting up for dinner service. White-gloved hands arrange gleaming silverware. The servers' faces remain professionally neutral, though one glances my way with a furrowed brow. This morning seems a lifetime ago. Tyler's handwritten wedding invitation had arrived last month, the personal note at the bottom reigniting a hope I thought long extinguished. "I miss you, sis." After 5 years of silence, those 4 words were enough to make me believe reconciliation was possible. I'd spent hours preparing, choosing the perfect gift, a handcrafted copper cookware set that cost nearly a month's profit. I practiced cordial greetings in the mirror. "Congratulations, Tyler. She's lovely. It's good to see you, Dad. The venue is beautiful, Kendra." Rehearsed lines that now stick in my throat like fish bones. I'd even offered my catering services as a peace offering. "No pressure," I'd written in my response. "Just something to consider." Tyler's polite refusal came quickly. "Thanks, but we've already booked someone with more formal experience." Yet, I came anyway, convinced that blood might finally be thicker than Kendra's influence. That same old foolish hope had me ironing my dress this morning, applying makeup with a steady hand, whispering to my reflection, "Today will be different." The whispers start at the edges of the room, spreading inward like ripples in a still pond. I place my untouched wine on a nearby table with deliberate care. Nothing hasty, nothing that could be construed as emotional. The crystal makes a small, clear sound against the polished wood. I walk toward the exit, back straight, chin lifted, each step measured and unhurried. The carpet muffles my footsteps. The whispers follow me like shadows. A young waiter steps into my path, his eyes widening in recognition. "Miss Sanchez, are you—" I shake my head once, slightly, and he steps aside. The heavy doors close behind me with a soft thud that echoes in the empty hallway. In the sanctuary of the corridor, I pull my phone from my clutch. 3 missed calls from Marco, my operations manager. A text message appears. "Boss, aren't you at the Anderson Mills wedding? That's our new acquisitions event." I stare at the screen, read the message again, then a third time. 2 weeks ago, we'd finalized the purchase of Elegant Occasions, a mid-sized catering company with an established client list. I'd been so busy with the acquisition paperwork that I hadn't reviewed their upcoming events roster. The realization hits me like a physical blow. I now own the catering company serving my brother's wedding. I lean against the wall, a laugh catching in my throat. My father and Kendra are in there mocking my little taco truck business while eating food provided by my company, the company that now employs 40 people, the company that grossed 7 figures last year. I straighten, tucking my phone away. The hurt transforms, hardens into something else entirely. My reflection in the mirrored wall shows a woman I barely recognize, eyes clear, jaw set, shoulders squared. They have no idea who I've become when they weren't looking, and they're about to find out. My knuckles turn white against the steering wheel. The wedding venue shrinks in my rearview mirror, but the weight in my chest remains. I pull into a deserted scenic overlook, cut the engine, and let the silence wash over me. Rain patters against the windshield, a gentle rhythm that pulls me backward in time. I'm 15 again, standing beside my mother's casket, rain drumming on the funeral tent. My father shifts beside me, his gaze drifting across the gathering to land on Kendra Palmer, his administrative assistant. Their eyes meet, hold. My stomach twists with something I can't name. 6 weeks later, Kendra is helping us organize the house. I come home from school to find my mother's photos missing from the walls. "Where are the family pictures?" I ask, panic rising. Kendra's smile doesn't reach her eyes. "Your father and I agree that redecorating will help everyone move forward. Change is healthy, Elena." She pats my shoulder. That night, I hunt through the house, finally discovering my mother's photos boxed in the attic. 3 months later, the boxes disappear entirely. When I confront my father, he sighs like I'm being difficult. "Kendra donated some old things. We can't live in a museum, honey." The memories cascade faster now. College application season. My father reviewing Tyler's essays while I work the night shift at Denny's. My brother's 18th birthday. A new Camaro in the driveway with a giant red bow. My straight-A report card met with a distracted nod over my father's newspaper. The rain falls harder against my windshield, matching the rhythm of my heart. Then comes the memory that broke me. 4 summers ago, my roommate forwarded a real estate listing. "Isn't this your address?" The familiar colonial with the yellow door, marked sold across the photo. I call my father, straight to voicemail. I text Tyler, who responds with a shocked emoji. He didn't know either. I drive 90 miles an hour on the interstate, skidding into the driveway as movers load the last furniture into a truck. In the backyard, my mother's garden, her roses that I'd helped plant when I was 9, is bulldozed into mud. A construction crew is already marking the outline for the new owner's pool. My father emerges from the garage, clipboard in hand. "What's happening?" My voice sounds foreign, strangled. He checks his watch. "The closing was yesterday. We're just finishing up. You sold our house without telling me?" Mother's garden is gone, her roses. Tears burn my eyes. "You don't live here anymore anyway," he says, signing the clipboard and handing it to the foreman. "Kendra and I found a condo downtown, better for our lifestyle." "What about Mother's things, the keepsakes in the attic?" His eyes slide away. "We downsized significantly." 5 years of silence followed. 5 years of rebuilding myself from the ground up. I started with a single taco truck my senior year of college, working 18-hour days, sleeping on a cot in my apartment's walk-in closet to save on rent. Some nights, when catering events ran late, I curled up in the truck's back corner rather than drive home exhausted. 1 truck became 2, then a brick-and-mortar kitchen, then corporate contracts. While my father and Kendra dismissed my little hobby, I built something solid. 40 employees now depend on me, 7 figures in annual revenue. At every family gathering I wasn't invited to, Kendra would send messages through mutual acquaintances. "How's the cute food truck hobby going? Still playing chef?" My phone buzzes against the passenger seat, jolting me back to the present. Marco's name flashes on the screen. "Boss, you still there?" His voice sounds concerned. I pulled the contract. Elegant Occasions finalized the acquisition 3 weeks ago. It's legally under Elevated Events now. "Send me the contract terms." "Already did. Check your email." Marco hesitates. "Elena, I saw the security footage from the venue. The audiovisual team uploads it automatically to our system for event documentation." My stomach drops. "You saw what happened?" "Everyone did. The staff is..." He searches for words. "They're pretty upset on your behalf." The email notification chimes. I open the attachment, scanning until I find it. Clause 8.3, termination rights in cases of discriminatory treatment of ownership or staff. My phone buzzes again. Nina, my attorney since the food truck days, responds to my emergency text. Contract is ironclad. Discriminatory comments about business owner constitute grounds for immediate service termination. Venue's security footage provides evidence. I stare at the rain-blurred lights of the city below. The wedding coordinator, Hannah, had recognized me at the reception. The subtle widening of her eyes, the quick professional recovery. Now it makes sense. She's worked with Elegant Occasions for years. My finger hovers over Marco's number. 1 call could halt the entire reception dinner. No main course, no cake, no service staff. Part of me, the 15-year-old watching her mother's photos disappear, the college student working 3 jobs, the daughter finding her childhood home sold without warning, wants to make that call. But another part hesitates. Tyler's note, "I miss you, sis." Maybe there's still a chance to rebuild. Then Kendra's voice echoes. "My stepdaughter finally left her little taco truck business to join real society." My father's slurred addition, "Maybe she's finally ready to stop playing restaurant and get a real career." I press the call button. Decision made. "Marco, I need you to execute termination clause 8.3. My voice sounds calm, professional CEO voice. "Pack everything. No main course, no cake, no service staff. Silence on the other end. Is that clear? Crystal clear, boss. Marco's tone shifts to business mode. Consider it done. I slide behind the wheel of my Mercedes, hands steady as I reach for my phone. A strange calm washes over me, replacing the humiliation that burned my cheeks moments ago. The screen lights up with another text from Marco. Boss, need instructions. We're fully set up for dinner service. My thumb hovers over the call button. Through the windshield, I can see the reception hall's grand entrance, where a server has just stepped outside for a cigarette break. He wears the elegant occasion's uniform, my uniform now. I press call. Elena, Marco answers on the first ring. I thought you were attending as a guest. Change of plans. My voice sounds different, crisp, detached, all CEO, the voice I use in boardrooms when acquisitions are on the table. I need you to execute a full withdrawal immediately. Silence on the line stretches for 3 beats. A full withdrawal? You sure? The main course is prepped. Cake's already on display. Pack everything. No main course, no cake, no service staff. I start the engine, the quiet purr matching my controlled tone. Tell everyone to leave. Absolute professionalism. No explanations to guests. Marco clears his throat. This is your brother's wedding, right? Half-brother, the correction, slips out before I can stop it. And yes, another pause. I can picture Marco's expression, the furrow between his brows that appears whenever unexpected complications arise. You got it, boss. Clean exit, 15 minutes tops. His loyalty doesn't require explanation. He's been with me since the first food truck, sleeping in his car during those early catering events, when we couldn't afford hotel rooms. Marco, when the venue coordinator asks why, and she will, simply state that Clause 803 of the contract has been triggered. Discriminatory treatment of ownership, he recites from memory. This isn't personal, I say, though we both know that's not entirely true. It's a business decision. I end the call and back out of my parking space, positioning my car where I can observe the service entrance without being seen from the main doors. Within minutes, I witness the silent ballet begin. White uniformed staff exit in small groups, carrying covered trays and equipment with practiced efficiency. The wedding cake, a 4-tier monstrosity that Kendra probably chose for the Instagram photos, disappears into the back of our largest refrigerated truck, carefully boxed. A text from Marco flashes on my screen, venue coordinator intervening, handled professionally. I can imagine the scene inside, the coordinator's growing panic as she realizes what's happening, Kendra's confusion turning to outrage, my father's demands falling on the deaf ears of venue staff, who have no authority to stop this. Another text, tables being cleared now. Minimal disruption. I zoom in on my rear-view camera as one of our newer hires, Javier I think his name is, loads the last of the crystal champagne flutes into a padded case. His movements are quick but careful, nothing rushed or dramatic. No one watching would realize this is anything but standard procedure. My phone buzzes persistently now, a call from an unknown number, likely the venue. Decline. A text from Tyler. What the hell? Wedding coordinator says caterer's leaving. Emergency. Call me. Delete. I pull away from the venue, driving toward the hill country outside the city. The sunset paints the sky in colors my mother would have loved, deep pinks fading to purple. She taught me to appreciate these moments, to find beauty even when life felt fragile. The sky never forgets to change, Elena, she'd say during her final months. Remember that nothing stays the same forever. 10 miles from the venue, I pull into a scenic overlook. The city glitters below, distant and small. My phone continues its symphony of alerts. The weight I've carried for years, the dismissals, the casual cruelty, the erasure from my own family narrative doesn't exactly lift. But something shifts inside me, subtle yet profound. This wasn't a screaming match or a dramatic scene, just business consequences for personal disrespect. For the first time in years, a genuine smile forms on my lips, small but real. I take out a business card, the new ones with the embossed logo that took 6 design revisions to perfect, and write on the back, contract terminated per Clause 8. 3. Discriminatory treatment of ownership. My phone rings again. Tyler, this time. I silence it and pull back onto the road heading home. By now, 250 hungry guests are wondering where dinner went. Kendra is likely in full crisis mode. My father, never one to handle unexpected challenges soberly, is probably at the bar. None of them know who actually pulled the plug. The name Elevated Events Catering appears on the contract, not Elena Sanchez's estranged daughter and sister. The business was registered, under my corporation, with Marco as the signatory on this particular event. The connection is there but requires actual interest in my life to discover, something my family has never demonstrated. As I navigate the evening traffic, the calls continue, growing increasingly desperate. Tyler, the venue, unknown numbers, and finally my father. Years ago, that last one would have sent me into a spiral of anxiety and hope. Now, I simply connect my phone to the car speakers and let Bach's Cello Suite No. 1 drown out the notifications. Sometimes, the loudest statement is the one made in silence. I turn onto my street where my condo building rises against the darkening sky. The doorman nods as I pull into my reserved spot. He doesn't know about my evening, about the power shift that occurred without a single raised voice. "Evening, Miss Sanchez," he says, opening my car door. "Everything all right? You're home earlier than you mentioned this morning." "Everything's exactly as it should be, Frank," I answer. And for the first time in a very long time, I mean it. Sunlight streams through my kitchen window, casting honey-gold patterns across the marble countertop. The coffee maker hisses and bubbles, a comforting morning ritual untouched by yesterday's chaos. My hands remain steady as I pour the dark liquid into my favorite mug, the one with hand-painted lilies that Mom gave me on my 15th birthday. My phone vibrates against the counter for the 19th time this morning. The screen illuminates with Tyler's name, joining the parade of missed calls and unread texts that began at dawn. I take a deliberate sip of coffee before finally glancing at his message. "Someone sabotaged our wedding. The caterer just disappeared. Dad's lawyer is involved. Call me back." The corner of my mouth twitches. I scroll through the digital avalanche, each message more frantic than the last. Kendra's text glows with barely contained rage. "Your father is furious about the wedding disaster. Good thing you weren't responsible. Wouldn't want to further disappoint him. Even now she can't resist the barb." I play Dad's voicemail on speaker, his words slurring together like wet cement. "Those criminal caterers. Breach of contract. Sue them into the ground." My golf buddy Jeff handles corporate litigation. I silence the phone mid-rant. The calm in my chest surprises me. The family group chat explodes with notifications, a digital wildfire of blame and outrage. "Has anyone tracked down the company owner?" Dad demands. "I'm organizing the guests to write reviews," Kendra chimes in. "We need to destroy their reputation like they destroyed our special day." Between their fury, a smaller voice appears, Tyler's new wife, Abigail. "Maybe we should understand what happened before we attack them. Could there have been a misunderstanding?" Her reasonable question vanishes beneath Kendra's response. "No misunderstanding. They humiliated us in front of everyone who matters." I forward screenshots of everything to Martina, my lawyer. She responds within minutes. Security footage received from venue. Excellent documentation of the discriminatory treatment. The termination clause was textbook. "Your company's reputation remains spotless. 47 five-star reviews and not a single contract violation in 5 years. The evidence supports your position completely." My phone pings with a private message from an unexpected source. "Mrs. Goldstein, Dad's longtime neighbor Elena. I saw how they treated you at the wedding. Disgraceful at their age. Your mother would be horrified. I've watched you build that business from nothing while they dismissed you. Some might call this karma." 3 more supportive messages appear from guests who witnessed my humiliation. Then, most surprising of all, a text from Abigail. "I'm so sorry about yesterday. This isn't what I wanted for our family's friend." I set my phone down, needing a moment to process this shift. 5 years of silence, and suddenly everyone has something to say. Marco calls while I'm refilling my coffee. "Boss, you should know something," he begins, voice careful. "Mrs. Anderson Mills is organizing some kind of review campaign, but it's backfiring. 3 guests from yesterday's event have already called, requesting quotes for their own functions. They were impressed with what they saw before the service ended." I lean against my kitchen counter. Kendra has no idea who owns Elegant Occasions. None. "Your father's lawyer sent a threatening letter addressed to management. Should I forward it to Martina?" "Yes," I say, watching a hummingbird hover near my balcony flowers. "Send everything." After we hang up, I check the family chat again. The tone has subtly shifted. Someone, an aunt perhaps, asks my father if Elena was at the wedding. Another voice questions why the catering staff left so abruptly. The narrative Kendra tried to control begins to fray at the edges. My laptop chimes with an email from Martina containing a draft response to my father's legal threats of 40% refund conditional on a signed NDA and release of all claims. Her note reads, "This acknowledges their inconvenience while maintaining your legal position. They'll take it." I close the laptop without responding immediately. There's no rush. For once, I hold all the cards in this family game. The coffee tastes particularly rich this morning as I gaze out at the city skyline. 5 years ago, I slept in my taco truck to save money. Today, I run a company that makes my father's lawyer nervous. These thoughts should feel like victory. Instead, I find myself wondering if Tyler's new marriage will become another casualty of our family's poisonous patterns. Even now, with everything that's happened, that thought brings no satisfaction. As I stand at the floor-to-ceiling windows of my expanded headquarters, watching the sunset paint the Dallas skyline in hues of amber and gold, a wave of emotions crashes over me like an unexpected tide. It's been 1 year since that fateful wedding day, and yet the memories linger, not as sharp wounds but as faded scars that remind me of how far I've come. The new event space below stretches out in elegant minimalism, copper accents catching the fading light, tables arranged with mathematical precision. My reflection hovers like a ghost against the glass, and for a moment, I see my mother's eyes looking back at me. Those eyes, soft and knowing, seem to ask, "How do you feel now, Elena?" Truly feel. I feel a profound sense of liberation, first and foremost. For so long, I carried the weight of my family's dismissal like a backpack filled with stones, each one etched with words like hobby, playing restaurant, or little taco truck. That weight pressed down on my shoulders during those endless nights in the truck, when exhaustion blurred the line between determination and desperation. I remember curling up in the back corner after a late catering gig, the smell of cilantro and lime clinging to my clothes, tears mixing with sweat as I wondered if it was all worth it. Why did I keep pushing when my own blood saw me as a failure? The hurt was visceral, a constant ache in my chest that made breathing feel like an effort. But now, standing here in this empire I built from scratch, that ache has transformed into a quiet strength. Liberation isn't just about success, it's about releasing the need for their approval. I no longer glance over my shoulder, hoping for a nod from my father or a kind word from Kendra. I've freed myself from that invisible chain, and the air feels lighter, fresher, like after a summer rain. Yet, intertwined with that freedom is a lingering sadness, a melancholy that sneaks up on me in quiet moments. I miss the family I never really had, the one where love wasn't conditional on fitting into their polished, society-approved mold. Thinking back to my mother's funeral, the rain drumming on the tent like accusatory fingers, I feel a pang for the girl I was at 15. That girl stood there, numb and confused, watching her father lock eyes with Kendra across the crowd. It was the beginning of the end, the first crack in the foundation of our home. The sadness swells when I recall boxing up my mother's photos in the attic, only to find them gone months later. "We can't live in a museum," my father said. But what he really meant was that we couldn't live with reminders of her, of the woman who had loved us unconditionally. That erasure felt like being unmoored, adrift in a sea of grief without an anchor. Even now, as I touch the silver locket Tyler returned to me, a tear escapes. It's not just for her loss, but for the years I spent trying to prove my worth to people who had already written me off. The sadness is bittersweet. It honors what was lost while acknowledging that I've built something new in its place. Anger still simmers beneath the surface, though it's no longer the raging fire it once was. At the wedding, when Kendra's words sliced through the room like a sharpened blade, the anger ignited instantly. Hot, blinding, urging me to lash out. But I held back, channeling it into that calculated decision to pull the catering service. Oh, the satisfaction of watching it unfold from afar. The silent ballet of my staff packing up, leaving chaos in their wake. It wasn't petty revenge. It was justice, a reclaiming of my dignity. Yet, the anger resurfaces when I think of Kendra's manipulations, the way she wormed into our lives, donating my mother's keepsakes, pushing Tyler toward advantageous marriages, draining my father's accounts. She's a symbol of everything toxic in our family dynamic, and sometimes, in the dead of night, I clench my fists imagining what I'd say if we ever faced off again. But I've learned to temper that anger, to use it as fuel rather than let it consume me. It's what propelled me from 1 taco truck to 40 employees, from scraping by to 7 figures. Anger, when harnessed, becomes power. Gratitude floods in next, a warm counterbalance to the darker emotions. I'm grateful for Marco, my rock since the beginning, who slept in his car during those early days and never questioned my vision. His loyalty during the wedding pullout, his crisp "you got it, boss," reminds me that family isn't always blood. It's the people who show up when it counts. Gratitude extends to Martina, my lawyer, whose sharp mind turned humiliation into an ironclad victory. And to the unexpected allies, like Mrs. Goldstein, and the guests who sent supportive messages after witnessing the scene. Their words were balm on old wounds, validating what I'd felt for years. Most surprisingly, I'm grateful for Tyler's awakening. Seeing him in my office, eyes wide at the awards on my walls, admitting how Kendra hid our mother's photos, It cracked open a door to healing. Our monthly dinners with Abigail feel like reclaimed time, filled with laughter and honesty. Gratitude even touches the pain itself. Without it, I might not have pushed so hard, might not have discovered this resilient version of myself. There's pride, too, fierce and unapologetic. I look at the original taco truck in the lobby, restored and gleaming, and my chest swells. That truck was my lifeline, my rebellion against being sidelined. From working 18-hour days in college, sleeping in a closet to save rent, to negotiating multi-million-dollar acquisitions, I've proven to myself what I'm capable of. Pride surges when I mentor young entrepreneurs from broken homes, sharing tools and belief they never had. Last week's session, watching a foster kid's eyes light up as I explained business basics, felt like paying forward the support I craved. It's not arrogance. It's the quiet assurance of knowing I stood up for myself. Terminating that contract wasn't about destruction. It was about boundaries. Pride in choosing peace over perpetual striving for acceptance from those who withheld it. But woven through all this is a thread of forgiveness. Not complete, but budding. Forgiving my father isn't easy. His slurred words at the wedding, his distracted nods over the years, they cut deep. Yet, our brief calls now, sober and tentative, hint at progress. He stopped defending Kendra, and that's a start. Forgiving Tyler comes easier. He was young, influenced, but he's owning it now, building his own life in Austin. Even for Kendra, the bitterness fades. Not into absolution, but into indifference. Her rumors wash over me like rain. They no longer define me. Forgiveness, I've learned, is for my sake, releasing the hold of past hurts to make room for joy. Finally, there's hope, bright and unwavering. Hope for Tyler and Abigail's fresh start, for the scholarship fund sending kids to culinary school in my mother's name. Hope in the memorial garden at home, where rosemary and lavender bloom as symbols of remembrance and peace. Hope in my own future, unburdened by old narratives. As the stars appear in the darkening sky, I feel a wholeness I never thought possible. The emotions, liberation, sadness, anger, gratitude, pride, forgiveness, hope, they swirl together, not in conflict but in harmony, shaping the woman I've become. It's not a fairy tale ending. It's real, messy, and mine, and for that, I am profoundly at peace.